Nino Bonaccorsi, what's up, dude? How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, man. The shirt right off the bat. We got to talk about this. Can you
The
guys see it on the
champ.
camera? Yeah. The
See the
champ.
champ shirt.
You said that was made by like a family friend kind of deal.
So yeah, I help run this club in South Hills called Shawa or SHWA, and one of the
Schwa.
dads there. Yeah, Schwa.
In
That's better.
Bethel
yeah,
Park.
Yeah. So one of the dads there, runs a company that helps produce these shirts for me, and he kind of reached out and got me started with that, and so yeah, I know it's a cool design, cool
Dude,
shirt.
you got the shirt. You got a sandwich at Given to Fly from our dude Troy Beck. We know him extremely well. And
Raise the roof, Troy Beck.
He
Great
actually catered a event at Ryan's house. He had like a staff party and got Given to Fly catering. And we've given Troy a lot of our money over the years. And it's
rightfully
worth
good.
every dollar.
Absolutely.
That's funny.
I wanted to ask you about that. What'd you think of that situation and having your own sandwich? That's so cool.
It's sweet because like it's one of those things where you still like. It's funny going up to men. You're like, I'll have me. So it's been really like it's honestly been kind of humbling in itself, because I dreamed about a lot of this stuff and get my face on shirts and sandwiches and all that stuff. So it's just kind of taking it all in and enjoying the ride of eating my food and and it's like it's good too. So it's like it's not like biased when I'm like it's my name, but it's not that good. But like Troy's stuff and like all that stuff, it's like so good. So kind of works out.
Well, wrestling's such a brutal sport, and like you don't get to enjoy the ride a lot of the times. Like you look, like I hear it a lot. Like people look back and we're like, I didn't realize those were the best days. Like those were awesome. I didn't realize how awesome it was. Did you enjoy the ride, or were you always looking ahead?
No, man, I really did. I was fortunate, I had a lot of support systems, especially, my family. They were always keen on allowing me to like live in the moment, because my brother wrestled in college, so he was out of college when I was done, and he told me, he's like, hey, this goes by fast, so enjoy it as much as you can. So I always had that perspective of like, kind of taking it one day at a time. So I was lucky in that aspect, but it does still go by fast, which is sad because you do try to like take it in and smell the roses and make it enjoy it, but you're like it's done. It's crazy. So yeah, I had a lot of good memories for that for sure.
That's super cool to hear, man. And in the wake of that, like we said, the shirt, the sandwich, you've become a celebrity kind of instantly in Pittsburgh, right? And especially being a Pittsburgh boy, born and raised. Yeah. It's probably hard for you to even put in words, but what's the experience been like for you after winning it?
Yeah, it's been pretty like surreal. I think what helps is it really resonates with people because I am a hometown kid. It's not like I went to another school and won and came back. Like I did it home. I stayed home. I stayed close, and I'm Pittsburgh born and raised. So to bring it for like my city is like I think that connects with a lot of people, and that's just what makes it like so cool and what makes me so proud because it's like it's a city of champs, and especially this area. It's such a whippeal. Oh yeah, it's like a hotbed for wrestling. Man. Yeah, so it's like to kind of add to that success is also like it's just been great.
Yeah. I saw an interview right after you won the national championship that I thought was interesting because you mentioned that in the interview. You were like, you can do it at Pitt, guys. Like for everybody who wants to know, like you can be a champion right here at home. Yeah. I thought it was cool that you had the presence of mind to kind of plug that, but also I think that was like a got some water for Nino. I also think that was a super authentic moment though, because you were just speaking the truth. Like you just wanted people to know, like you don't have to go to Oklahoma or Penn State. Like you can do it at Pitt if you want.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah, you guys do know that I'm a huge Penn State fan.
Oh,
yeah, but don't go there.
You
honestly.
should like really like
no, you're right. I mean, it's honestly those teams have established it. Obviously you go there, you have success there, but I think it was big for our program in that building, like we are building something here. We got the coaching changes and everything and the recruits, and we're getting new facilities. And I don't know, it's just attractive for recruits and everyone to see that's like, you don't have to go to a Penn State. You can, but you could also stay home and win. It's not like you're not limited to where you can go. And, I think that's big for us and Pittsburgh because like I said, it is so many wrestlers here that they don't have to go far from home though.
I'm totally only kidding just to prove it. Like I'm Randy Stottlemyre. I'm real good friends with one of his daughters, Jacqueline, and I actually mentioned to her the other day that we're having you on the podcast.
Okay.
She's like, oh, that's awesome. So I do want the success of the Pitt wrestling program. Football is another story. But wrestling, yes, let's crush it.
On the wrestling team,
Oh, man, it's good for the city. And, like, the crew you guys have, obviously, we're familiar with a lot of guys on the team. James Lito and Jeff Magan, of course.
Yeah, of course,
like,
man.
studs all over that wrestling team. And it's cool to see them seeping into other areas of combat sports. But obviously, you've been on our radar for a long time.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, those guys are, it's great. And I mess with Jeff, especially because I go with probably Jeff a little more just because he's so big and tall. But
it's huge, man.
You know, I'm always like, I'll take him down. I'm like, no, what if I just throw an elbow right? You know, but those guys are awesome, and I'm glad to see they're having success and enjoying their other aspect of what they're doing.
So what you're saying is you have been practicing.
I might have tendencies, man. I don't know. Yeah.
Put it on. I was just talking to our guy Danny Palm here. He's a huge wrestling, like amateur wrestling fan and pro wrestling for that matter. But I was saying I went to Strip District Meets with James Lito. He won that gift card, and Jeff Magan was there too.
Yeah.
And dude, being around Jeff, he's massive, dude.
Huge.
It's unbelievable that he fought at 185 ever.
Wait, what's he wrestling at?
So he was kind of like off and on. So he was like maybe heavyweight at some point. He's kind of like between a heavyweight and 97 now, but he's gotten up to like I don't even know, like I don't know, but he's like 220-ish, I want to say. But because he was trying to maybe go heavyweight at one point. Then he can make 97, and obviously he can make 185.
That was nuts. That was
crazy.
nuts.
Well, so I have a confession. Okay, this is true confessions of a promoter.
Oh, man.
So when we were having James Lito on, and he was saying my teammate Jeff Magan, and I was thinking like, I didn't know that Jeff wrestled at Pitt. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I thought he was meaning like at Stout
team.
Like,
I guess.
So I thought like I was
too.
like, oh, that's interesting that like that's the guy that like that's neat, like whatever. But like it wasn't until I just like 2 weeks ago maybe that I realized that Jeff was a Pitt wrestler.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, so he transferred from I think like Franklin and Marshall, I think it was, but he's been here and he's in the room every day and he's tough, man. He's hard nosed, he's strong, he's big, and it's funny.
He's super tall. He has like the ideal fighter build, honestly. That tall, lean, got levers all over the place. Like that's what you want as a fighter for sure. Was he a Quaker Valley boy?
He was.
Yeah. Nice.
Hey Danny, what's the Upper St. Clair heavyweight?
Slinger.
Slinger.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a funny Slinger story too. I gotta tell.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So Slinger's still there, right?
He graduated this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a red shirt or anything.
No, he's not. Yeah, I think he's a transfer too. So
he was George Mason.
Yeah. Yep.
So our first show, he was a part of like the setup crew.
No way.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Really?
But it was like different than any other show ever. So the sides of the cage like are really heavy.
Yeah.
And like we'll have like two guys lift it up and another guy like help them like put it on so it gets. Well, the first show we had, Slinger was literally picking these like 3-man pieces up by himself and just setting them on. It was like, dude, he is the the dude has so much strength. It's incredible.
God. Yeah, he's freakishly strong. Sometimes I'm matched up with him, so when we're lifting, we got like lifting partners, and sometimes I'm with Jeff, but if Jeff is like out sick or something, I go with Slinger. I'm like, oh god, it's like I gotta take the weights off for me. It's like it's crazy. That's funny. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. The lineage there is nuts. Like Ryan's saying, just the room that you were in. There's no question that helped shape you into the national champion that you became. Yeah, obviously, but this was also very long in the making, man. Like I've read a lot of interviews and watched stuff like. There's no question that this was your path that you were going to be on in your life. To actually get there, though, like, what are you thinking? Not talking about winning it, but being in the national championship match. What are you thinking before the match?
It's tough because it's something. My mind kind of goes two ways, like right. So on the one hand, it's like, dang, this has been 20 years in the making for this 7-minute match, right? And that can be kind of daunting at first, but I've had a lot of. lot of ups and downs in my career. You know, I wasn't one of those guys who won everything. So it's like, I'm not like, you know, I've experienced like the what ifs, like what if you lose, you know? So it was one of those things where I kind of came at peace throughout my career about defining myself as like, I have to win, right? Like it was that sort of thing. But I kind of changed my mindset and how I wrestled. Like, you know, I'm not defined by how I am as a wrestler. I'm defined by like my role model. How what I do to the sport, you know, not if I win or lose, but like how did I prepare, right? So my mind kind of seeked back to that. You know, it's like, hey, regardless of what happens, you know, I did everything I could to the sport. I worked as hard as I can. I did all the right stuff. So it's kind of like out of my hands sort of thing, and that takes kind of a lot of pressure off me. And so that's kind of where my head was like, hey man, we're excited. We're here. Like, this is what we've been working for, but you know, it's in God's hands, you know, it's kind of out of my control. And so, yeah,
dude, that's an insanely mature perspective for sure. So kudos on developing that and understanding that early.
Wasn't easy.
Dude, in the match itself, you go down 3-0 early.
Exactly.
Do you get antsy at that point?
Same thing. It's one of those things where it's like, I didn't have a fear to lose, you know, is where in the past it's hurt me because I've gotten to points where I wanted to win everything, and it was almost like it was a complete failure if I didn't. You know, and I've had heartbreak to where it's like everything I was doing was defined around winning. But thus with my change and, you know, how I kind of went about everything, I didn't have a fear of losing. So therefore, when I was losing in the match, it wasn't a panic. You know, I was like, hey, it is what it is. You know, I didn't think it was going to be easy to do it, but, you know, had faith and just kept doing me, man. And I was fortunate enough to
worked out for you a little bit.
Yeah. So wait, what triggered that mentality change?
Yeah.
Like how did that happen?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, 2021, I made the finals again, or for the first time. And then following that summer, I made the U23 world team. So I had like a lot of success for myself. You know, I was very thought I was hit my stride, you know, and, just put a lot of expectation on myself that was like, oh, well, next year, like I have to win. Can't go below second, which is hard, you know?
Right.
So the following year, I actually got bumped out. I didn't make the podium. So that was just like that was kind of the start of like, it was like very devastating. It was one of those things that's like, what happened? You know, like why, you know, and it took me a long time to realize it was just because I was wrestling to win, you know, which is like, sounds kind of silly because it's like, obviously you do everything to win. You fight to win, you wrestle to win, but it's like, yes, but it was actually holding me back in a way, making me tight. Like I was holding on to leads. I was like nervous to take things because I didn't want to lose so bad, you know. And it took me like the summer to really like, you know, find my faith and really it grew my faith really strongly. And you know, I had a lot of support and just kind of found my love just for wrestling, man, not for just the wins and losses. And it just really kind of transformed. I felt like a huge weight off my chest. I felt like I was able to compete better, train better. I just felt like everything was just like, you know, I don't know, just grateful for the sport. And it was like moments like that when I would be losing or it would be like a tough match, I wasn't worried about anything. You know, I was competing like very free, like freer than I ever have. Thus what led me to, you know, coming back the next year and winning it, you know. And obviously it's one of those things where it's like I could tell this story and say, yeah, that's because I did that, that's why I won. It's like, no, like I could have very well went to this tournament and lost, but I'd be at peace with it because I wasn't defined by how I did. I was defined by what I put into it. You know, my work, I worked my hardest. I did the best I could. The rest is kind of out of my hands.
So, okay. Was this the first year that you felt like that the reality of like a national championship, like seemed like actually within your grasp? And if so, like when did the moment hit you this year that like, wow, like this could actually happen?
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you get like wherever chapter I'm in, like it's like when I was in high school, like I didn't think about like, why I have to win the national championship. It's like, dude, I want to win the states. You know, it's kind of like, you know, so when I got to college, the next thing obviously was I want to win a national title. And at the time I did believe I could. And honestly, you never know. Those tournaments are so chaotic that sometimes you get true freshmen who can win. It's just like, so I always believed. But I think what really like propelled my career is getting to that high point the highest point in my career, then going to the lowest point in my career. And then the high and low really made me like I could find my balance. You know, it wasn't just all high and it wasn't just all losing. Like I got to experience both, and I think that helped me transform like my mind and how I viewed everything. And it really hit me because I wasn't worried about the wins and losing. When there was 14 seconds left on the clock, I finally like kind of let it sink in, which I'm like, man, I was like, you 14 seconds, you went it the whole season just perfectly. But I broke with 14 seconds left, and I kind of looked up and I was like,
this is happening.
Man, this is actually going to happen.
I read that in an article.
Yeah, it's weird how it worked. Like we just landed, and it was just like the clock was right there. So it's special to watch your dream, your lifelong dream, man. Like it's something.
Yeah.
You wake up every day. It's like, how can I improve? How can I work hard to get better? And it's like for it to tick down in front of your face. It's crazy.
You talked about something super interesting there that I think happens to athletes in every level. You hear about an NFL player winning the Super Bowl, then they want to win it again. They're not like, oh, I won the Super Bowl, I'm super happy. It's kind of this idea of moving the goalposts. I feel like you mentioned, like in high school, the goal's winning states. Well, now I'm in college, the goal's winning the national championship. There's always something else, right? So what is your something else now? Like, where are you at mentally? Because a competitor like you, you can't just stop.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's like
a really good MMA promotion. Just saying.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because it was I did before I was All-American, or made the finals. I always said to myself, I'm like, if I could just like get over that hump on cracking the podium, like I'll be like perfect, like nothing. I'll be finally did it, like a huge weight off my chest. And my coach Keith Gavin, he would tell me, he's like, wrestling's one of those things. It's like you're competitive, so you think getting to this goal, you're gonna want more. Yeah. And he's like, it's hard to think that in the moment because you don't have it yet. But like, trust me. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
I think I'd be pretty happy. I think
I'll be okay, right? And so I made the finals and everything, and I was it started hitting me. I'm
instantly
like, I kind of want to win it again, man. And it's like it's just like that was honestly what drove me to if I didn't like such my faith like that, because it was. You put all your faith into, or you put all your marbles into like these like materialistic things, like your status and everything. But it's one of those things you'll always kind of be left feeling unsatisfied, right? And I think that's what really grew my faith toward God. Like he's something that is infinite love. So so I put all my marbles into that aspect to where it's like no matter what happens, I won't feel left out. Like I won't feel empty because I have eternal love. But not to get all deep on you guys.
No, but, I'm loving this, dog.
That's just what it is, And but now, to answer your question, the next thing it's I'm torn, man, because it's something that I think I'll always have that competitive edge to do something. Never really thought about fighting in that aspect, but I hate to say never sort of thing, because you never know where life takes you. But I definitely would like to get into coaching and in wrestling in some aspect, either kind of coaching and competing, one or the other sort of thing, but still trying to figure it out. It feels weird, like kind of being, because I'm used to a schedule of like, all right, this tournament's this week, making weight this, like but now it's like do whatever you want, right? So it's a little different. It's something I'm kind of adjusting to.
I'll be honest. The reason I asked wasn't because I was trying to be like, you should fight or grapple for us, but one of the most you should, but one of the most interesting conversations I ever had with a fighter was with, I don't know how much you follow UFC, but Cody Garbrandt. He's from Ohio. Yeah, okay. He won the UFC Bantamweight Championship, and I remember talking to him after that. That was like his life goal. And I talked to him as he was a regional fighter all the way up to UFC champion, and I was like, dude, you did it. And he's like, what's super weird is like, I don't feel content. He's like, my world didn't change like I thought it would. I won it, and I'm still woke up as the same guy, same house. Like it wasn't this huge accomplishment that I thought it would be.
Right.
And that stuck with me, because I was like, you think about this in context of a collegiate wrestler or whatever it may be. There's always that goal, but then once you hit that goal, now the goalposts move again. Yeah, now there's got to be this next challenge for you.
Yeah, and it's something that like I think you could even view it as like, for guys who are like nervous about maybe not achieving, it's like, hey, you can do what you want and still maybe not feel satisfied. So like, if you happen to lose, nothing's gonna change in your life, man. It's just like that's he's right. It's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, like, I know you're a Bethel guy, but I'm a Upper St. Clair guy.
Oh yeah.
And Coach Tarr is building a program at the high school. So I mean, I'm close with Coach Tar at Upper St. Clair. So if you want, like, I'll talk to him.
Okay.
Like,
man.
And we could convert you to a Panther from
St. Clair. Yeah. Conversion top.
Danny Palm's happy about
I'm
it.
I'm also not trying to steal you off Matt Coker. So Matt, sorry.
No, man. Yeah, it's something that still trying to figure out and everything. But you know, ideally I'd like to stay collegiate. But you know, as the future goes on, you never know. So I hold you to that. And
there you go. Love
Danny.
that, dude. The things for your life, just watching everything in the way, you know, we talk about the shirt and the sandwich and everything, but it's so much more than that. And you said it earlier with how grappling wrestling is in Western PA.
Yeah.
What's the response been from the wrestling community? Because you're now like you're a hero. You're a hero to everybody who's in that
dog
world.
in Pittsburgh, bro.
Yeah. For now, honestly, it's something you know, it's short lived, but
well, enjoy it.
Yeah,
enjoy the moment, bro.
Right. Yeah. It's been great. I get a lot of, you know. It's nice you are in an area where wrestling is very well received and respected. So it's been great. But it's also like, it's almost like, I don't feel this from people, but it's almost like you're like expected to like, cause you're from the Whitfield, you gotta do good somehow, you know? So it's almost like, it's just nice to like add to it. Like you're one of those names of like the long list of guys who were able to do something great from
wrestling
this area.
royalty.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm on the list, and it's been great. And, you know, I've been, really kind of reaping all the love and the benefits and everything. So yeah.
So are you a pro wrestling fan at all too?
A little bit. You know, I noticed that's a lot of what the college guys are getting into. It's this WWE stuff. So
absolutely,
it's almost hard to not pay attention to it.
Yeah. You just made the list.
Right.
Andy, you like that? I don't know. That was a Chris Jericho thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Went right over my head if it went over
He doesn't watch
WWF did. No. I was a huge WWE fan, and but yeah, I always think that's something too, man. It's like, I don't know, like the right opportunity, you know, I'll be jumping from the top ropes if
that's a different thing.
Right.
I mean, it's like, that's like saying I'm a professional football player. I think I'll go into and not like they're not connected.
I think it's that, and I think it's harder than people think.
Oh, it's
way
harder.
I think people are like, it's like, oh, you just go and like, it's like, no. I think you're like, it's serious. Like
they have like
stuff.
a legit training center.
Yeah.
You gotta prepare for that.
Yeah, right.
And there's a whole different like level. It's there's many facets of that.
Yeah.
Like you can't just be like good at moves. You have to be good on the mic. You have to be, like there's so much to it.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually went to the AEW show at the Pitt recently, very recently, and dude, like he said, I'm not a pro wrestling fan. I didn't know anything. My buddy had a free ticket and invited me. I was like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. So I was, of course, asking him a billion questions throughout. But dude, I had a great time. It was so fun.
It's so entertaining.
Like, this is amazing.
I know. It's really, it is fun.
Nino, I remember when we were kids going to the WWE show with your dad. And Vinny,
Yeah, I remember we went there.
The Civic Arena?
The Civic, I think, was it Civic back then? Yeah.
Nice.
Undertaker pulled out. I remember that day. We had
Did you guys ever do like a wrestling under the stars when they opened up the Civic Arena?
I don't think so.
Oh, I've been to those.
What? I didn't even know they could open that.
Either did I.
That thing opened. They very rarely did it, but like that it opened up, and we had wrestling under the stars.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah, I think I bring that back.
I had no idea. Does PPG's roof open up?
No.
Oh, that's lame.
Is it PPG? Yeah, PPG.
Yeah,
Paints
you're thinking of Heinz Field. Yeah, it's Heinz Field.
It's Heinz Field, dude. Yeah. I can't get down with that Acrisure stuff. I'm sorry.
Although I do at least, I've gotten to the point where when someone says it, I know what they're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
For a while, I was like,
where?
Yeah.
What state said it?
Yeah, because it's so bad that like it's etched. It's like when somebody says Ryan Middleton, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Oh, did I say that out?
That's me, bro.
Is that out loud?
Does he know I pays him? Some people are so
let it slip out, man.
I forgot we were live. Danny, edit that real quick. Dude, speaking of like being a local hero, we got to talk about kind of half the reason you're here is because right after this podcast, you got a signing going on.
Man,
I thought that was so cool, by the way, when I saw that.
Yeah, it's funny because the poster for it, I got a lot of comments saying like, "Are you guys fighting?" Or I'm like,
it looks like it does look like an old school boxing poster. Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I have to check it out.
Yeah, but
who's
me and
Bo
Nick? Oh, who's hosting it? Is that's actually a good question. I think First and Goal is the store name, but I think that you guys, Towny Time is my the company for the shirts. They might be hosting it. I'm actually not sure on that, but I am. But yeah,
you're just gonna wander around the mall until
well,
like,
I know,
come in here.
Yeah, I know the store is called First and Goal.
Okay,
but so I'm one. They probably are part of it. I'm sure, kind of both.
So for people watching, Nino's going to be signing along with Bo Nickel. It's kind of like a signing meet and greet situation at First and Goal inside the South Hills Village Mall. So that's. Like literally 10 minutes from the studio, right? We're super close.
Wait, wasn't our plan to have both of them on here?
I tried to get Bo. Listen, Bo had things going on. He's Bo Nickel. He's got things.
Celebrity
stuff. Yeah. But he did answer. I'll give him that. He had family stuff going on. So respect that.
Awesome.
Family always first.
I just wanted to razz him because
just wanted to secure the fact that I couldn't get Bo.
He had to get you on back.
That's totally fair. Totally fair.
1-1.
Have you met Bo before? Like, have you?
No, I never met him.
Could you beat him
wrestling? I don't know.
Right now,
he does MMA.
Yeah,
worked for him.
Both styles would be pretty tough feat, but
it'd be fun.
But yeah, no, he's one of those guys. He was maybe a junior or senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah,
and he was one of those guys I would look up to him like, dang, he's he's doing what I want to accomplish, but he's also doing it in style. Yeah. He's making it look easy with these guys, and I always thought that was very impressive, and I kind of wanted to emulate that dominance.
He just had a certain creativity about him. He moved just different than everyone.
He's special. He's very
I'll say like for somebody who doesn't follow amateur wrestling, it's a hard sport to get into. If you don't wrestle, it doesn't have like the MMA or pro wrestling just pure entertainment factor a lot of times. But then a guy like Bo or you comes along, it's like you guys are just fun to watch in general for that casual person.
Like you could not know anything about wrestling. You can watch some of these guys, especially Bo, and be like, "That's just fun to watch." I don't know what's going on, but it's cool.
Exactly.
Why is the ref keep going?
Why'd the match just end?
No idea what just happened, but I love it.
Yeah, exactly. But
I thought they had to count to 3.
Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people casuals. People think that what I do is they're like, so you like. I don't know. They don't know.
Do you like the chair shot?
I've had a lot of people ask me that.
Have you ever had someone hit you with a chair?
Dude, we get that a lot when we tell people we're an MMA promotion or grappling. Like everybody's like, "Oh, like pro wrestling stuff," and I'm like, "No."
It just goes to show kind of how popular.
Yeah, it's huge.
Pro wrestling really is.
How are your ears? Let me see those ears. You got Oh yeah. You got cauliflower.
I got some cauliflower. Yeah.
Not the worst I've seen. To be fair, can you still get AirPods in?
So I got one on this side, but this one I have to flip upward.
Gotcha.
So it's like they're kind of like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool how wrestlers when you're a hardcore wrestler, there's some trophiness of that, right? Like it's you don't want to not does it like a guy who doesn't have any cauliflower ears, a senior is he hardcore? Or is that like a
yeah?
Do you kind of look at a guy like what do you do?
Not have it?
Yeah, right. I get a lot of double takes from people. I'm out with my girlfriend or something, or I just took this county police test, and I was at this big convention. There was a bunch of people there, and you're walking by people who don't have it, and then you kind of catch them like, what does this guy do? You're all mysterious, but
it's so true.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like I feel like I don't know.
What does that guy do? Win national championships.
No
That's
big deal.
the answer you were looking for.
Well, dude, it's like I feel like it's nowadays. So there's a lot of people in combat, So it's like now I forget who was it. It was Sebastian Maniscalco was telling a comedy special. He's like, you don't even know nowadays. You bump into someone, he could cry, kick your perennial nerve. It's like you don't know anymore. Everyone's freaking trained. But yeah,
it's so true, man.
That's what we always talk about. Like in here, even Brian, who got you that water.
Yeah.
We always talk about how 30 years ago, if a guy was in a bar and like someone was being an idiot, like most of the time you could just be like, thump, get away.
Right,
like,
right.
And now you do that. That
do,
dude gets up and he like, you're in a pretzel.
You wake up 5 minutes later, you're like, what happened?
Who was that?
Right, dude. I know. It's crazy. It's funny.
It is like nature's warning. I saw a funny meme one time that was like a great white shark's teeth and like, you know, those tree frogs that are super bright orange to let you know they're poisonous. And then it was like just a cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
It was like, this is nature's way of letting you know something's dangerous. I'm like, for real. You see a dude with cauliflower, you're like, just don't fight him. Don't. Just don't.
Exactly. That's
or
funny,
keep your lots of distance.
So much distance.
Can't let you get close.
So have you done any jiu-jitsu? Have you done anything?
Yeah. I wouldn't even classify it as doing it, but like before practice sometimes, like I don't know if you guys know Jake Wenzel, obviously. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll mess around with him a little bit. And,
nice.
He's so I do like I'll mess around. I don't know all the details of it or probably how to defend stuff, but
I think a wrestler doing some jiu-jitsu is good, especially like to use legs more and like just be. I see people that train jiu-jitsu wrestling at a young age, like in youth, and they're just different. The way they use their legs, because wrestling doesn't really teach much with
right. Yeah, no, it's definitely like a different feel, and
I
think if you do incorporate like both, it could be like it could translate in both, you know, for sure. But no, I haven't done anything similar to that, but yeah.
You're gonna need me to fight for us. You're gonna probably
yeah. No, yeah.
There's one of my favorite matches of all time is Bo Nickel versus Gordon Ryan. I don't know if you've seen it, but Gordon Ryan's the GOAT.
I did watch that. Oh yeah.
And Bo did better against him than almost anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy what a wrestling base can do for jiu-jitsu.
I didn't see it, but like
there were modified rules. Gordon couldn't leg lock him, which right off the bat, like.
But was Gordon like really like 100% the whole time?
Yeah, I mean he was, but he couldn't. You know, he couldn't attack his legs. So that's a huge thing right off the bat to not be able to do. But Bo did well. Gordon obviously won. But the thing that I thought was crazy about it was that Bo was like upset that Gordon beat him.
Yeah,
at the end, and I was like he thought he was going to win. He thought he could win. Yeah. And that's huge. Like, that's that wrestler mentality.
Well, he's not probably used to losing ever. So exactly. It's like, it is something like, I'll win, you know, but no, I feel like that too. It's like you almost get like a, not saying he did this, but you get like a stupid confidence because you're like, I could do anything, you know, but sometimes that gets you in trouble. But, but no, I did watch that fight and he did great. And I try to follow Gordon Ryan too, just because he's like, he is the best. So it is cool to watch kind of different forms of, you know, combat.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of like, not like super involved in like jiu-jitsu or anything, but I, you know, follow him and, but mainly like UFC and stuff like that, MMA, I follow.
Yeah. Gordon's actually talked about this a good bit recently because everybody's kind of asking him, you know, what's next? How much farther can the sport of jiu-jitsu even go? Because it seems like he's hit a pinnacle of like, okay, this is as good as you can be.
Yeah.
But he said repeatedly that the next evolution for jiu-jitsu is really good wrestlers getting into jiu-jitsu. Like the whole stand-up, takedown game, clinch game, standing, like that's going to be the next evolution in jiu-jitsu. You're going to get these stud wrestlers that also know jiu-jitsu, and that's going to be like the next breed.
Yeah.
So, is it?
That's
like,
what he said.
Do those guys not like realize like if I just learn striking too, then I can just
fight
be in the UFC?
I was just gonna say that like if you get to that point, you might as well just
fight,
MMA or something, you know. But
it's true.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Gordon's one of the only guys who's getting paid like a real like celebrity living wage to compete in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. The sport's just
like
not
professional athlete wage is. He's the only one.
Yeah, he's literally the only one.
I saw his he was doing because like flow wrestling's like our like, you know, wrestling thing, but there was like a flow grappling. Or something.
Yeah, there's flow grappling.
They did like they were following him before his like big fight with that Pena.
Felipe Pena.
Yeah, and he had like his house was like really nice. He has all these cars, but he was driving like a Civic.
Yep.
Or something to like keep him like level headed.
Keep
or something.
him grounded.
It's like
it's nice. The least
you could choose from what car you want to drive that day, but it was like but yeah, it was funny.
He's hilarious, man. He really is. I love him.
Yeah, he's cool.
I'm gonna plug real quick. So the sport we're talking about is called grappling, and it's like a jiu-jitsu wrestling kind of mix where it's just submissions and stuff. This is actually the first time on July 14th, 2023, we're having our first grappling competition or super fights.
Yeah.
the night before our next MMA bout. And so, guys, we have a lineup like you wouldn't believe. Like the people we have already like agreed to fight. Like we can rattle off some names, but like one, we have our main event, which is Birch versus Leon.
Yeah, huge.
And that is literally top 10 guys in the entire world. Like it's a crazy awesome bout. But Isaac Greeley is scheduled. Is he? Potentially. We have an iffy bout.
Hey, when you watch live podcasts, you get breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, watch live podcasts. So Isaac has a potential bout. Chris Dempsey has a potential bout.
Yep.
We have Jake Lowry has a solid bout. We have
Cole Masick.
Cole Masick's gonna grapple. We have just verbally agreed to as we were entering the studio today. We have Mark Cherico's going to be on the card. There's so many big names, and if what we want to happen with Isaac's bout happens,
you guys are going to flip out
like a huge name. So it's super exciting.
And Dempsey's too, for that matter.
Yeah,
honestly, if you're in the world, you're going to know.
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be a really, really awesome night, and it's submission only grappling. 6-minute bouts. We'll probably have in the vicinity of 20 to 30 overall bouts. It's going to be an awesome night. Friday, the July 14th, followed by Brawl in the Berg 17. Right? 17?
Nailed it. Yeah.
On July 15th on Saturday night. So going to be an awesome. You can go to 247fighting.com right now to get those tickets. But I just wanted to tell all you people, if you love wrestling, check out this grappling. You need to come on July 14th. Get your tickets now, 247fighting.com.
Boom. Beautiful. There you go.
Hell of a weekend.
Yeah, dude. So if you're not ready to get punched in the face, you can just grapple instead.
Another opportunity.
You can get your arm twisted off instead.
Yeah, I don't know which one I want better.
Much better. Much better.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll get you Gordon Ryan. Bo went against Gordon Ryan, so now you have to.
Yeah, this is transitive property.
These are the rules.
I'm pretty sure we're not getting.
Don't know if we
my
can afford Gordon
pocketbook
Ryan.
cannot do that.
We'll do a triple threat.
Dude, yes.
Let's go.
We'll have a pro wrestling bout for you. You can do chair shots.
Yeah.
Who would be your ultimate pro wrestling, like Nino versus who? Who would you most want to pro wrestle against?
Probably Undertaker.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
He was my favorite growing up.
He's the OG.
Yeah, he's the OG. So
see, he's not the OG, guys. You're just young.
Like, OG for our age.
You're just young.
Hulk Hogan, maybe.
Like Bruno Sammartino is OG.
Legend.
Living OG.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Pretty sure.
Maybe. I don't. We'll have to look that up. I'm going with he's alive.
Did he eat too much Bethel Deli?
Yeah.
Bethel Deli.
Where was Bruno from exactly?
Yeah.
Do you know what like they tried opening?
That down, yeah.
The
like
one
recently.
Well, I don't know, not recently, like over COVID.
He passed
Yeah.
away.
Oh, did he? Okay.
There's your guy, man.
He was
Rest in
82.
peace.
2018, he died.
Dude, Bruno Sammartino was a monster. So, but my real, like, that's just because he's from Pittsburgh. My real OG, like, that I really remember him being in his prime was Hulk Hogan, obviously.
Yeah. Sure.
Like,
Muscle
80s
mania.
Hulk Hogan. Like,
Hulkamania.
not like. But yeah, you guys are Attitude Era guys, right? Like,
Yeah. Stone
yeah.
Cold.
yeah, that was some of the best wrestling there
So
was.
my funny thing, my cousin, his name's Mike. He when I was little, he knew I was like obsessed with WWE, and he's bald with tattoos, and I was like, and for the longest time, man, he convinced me he was Goldberg, and I believed him. Like,
I got a match tonight.
I'm like, why aren't you down? Aren't you supposed to be fighting for the title? He like
It's
convinced me.
pre-recorded. I did it earlier. I'm here now. Yeah.
So like for the longest time, I always thought
That's
he was
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, when did you find out he wasn't? Like last year, or the year before?
Like an hour ago. No, yeah. Well, I think
Tricked me.
I honestly think it happened because like we were watching it, and he was also like with our family party. I'm like, this doesn't. It's like
Pretty smart.
yeah,
Pretty smart.
but
yeah.
So were there any like pile drivers going on in the Bonaccorsi yard?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. More so like I had this. So when I was little, I had this big teddy bear that it was like almost like it was bigger than me at the point, and I would hit all my WWE moves on him. But
Nice.
Fortunately, I also had a brother who was also keen on wrestling and fighting, so we would move some furniture and get down in the living room.
Beautiful.
And, yeah, fight stuff.
Did you shoot promos too?
no promos. Yeah, no.
See, that's at least half the pro wrestling
yeah.
game, man.
I know, right? That is what makes it all fun. But yeah, no, I was amateur back then. Yeah.
What weight did your brother wrestle at?
He was 174 for 2 years, and then his last 3 he was 197.
Gotcha.
Actually, so.
At what point in your life could you beat him in a match? Can you beat him today?
The only reason I might be able to beat him was when he was out of college, just because, that year goes fast when you're not training and running up hills anymore and lift, so I think I might be able to squeak him then. But now he's really far removed. He's 7 years. But
easy work for you now.
But dude, he has that like older brother thing on me. So
dude,
it's like it's low. It's
that's
a mental
why I was
thing.
asking.
Plus, he's probably developed a little bit of old man strength too.
He just had a daughter.
So he's got
the dad
Oh,
strength.
He's got
man.
dad
So,
strength.
dude,
Holding that
Look at that.
Dude, he's actually
Crazy.
stronger than like he was just because he's lifted, so
He also
got that edge.
also probably knows your style better than anybody, I would imagine. He's like, I know exactly what you're going to try to do.
Dude, it's funny. Oh god. So,
No, go ahead.
Well, it was funny because during the COVID, we would have to I went to that Shawa place and would go up. My coker would let me in, and I would kind of do my own thing. But he during COVID, there was no times to get workouts, and it was before ACCs, and I got quarantined and everything. So I was at my peak, and my brother's retired, and so we had my brother come up, me and my dad were up there. We were game planning, and then my brother came in. He's a cop, so he was working 16-hour
Was that
shifts.
in the industrial park? Or was that at the church?
Yeah, industrial. Yeah, so he was 16-hour shift. He comes in and wrestles me, and he says he always laughs because I walk in, you guys are game planning how to beat me. So it was a miserable workout for him,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but so yeah.
I love that. What about a spike ball match against your brother? Who's going to win that?
Me, yeah, for sure.
Oh, really?
He doesn't play. He's never played.
So you're pretty good, huh?
I think I'm just because you're bringing it up makes me have doubts. I don't know if you guys probably are pretty good.
You're pretty good, huh?
I think I'm okay if I get the right partner, Mickey Philby. So if I get me and Mickey, if we're feeling it, we got that chemistry, we're pretty good. But
that's interesting.
It sounds like a challenge.
That's an interesting.
I'm not saying one way or another. I'm just saying we may have heard that you guys are the worst team in the wrestling room. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying.
So it was fun. So they're not completely wrong there. We actually.
I think I'm pretty good. I'm gonna back wrestling. I'm good at wrestling.
Well, when we were when we first brought the spike ball net to the room, we would play. So we were early, and we did get ahead of people, and we were playing we were very good. But it started to become the team was obsessed with it, and teams formed, and they got good, and Mickey couldn't adapt, and so we did become one of the worst.
You were Hoist Gracie, the first generation of greatness.
We started it off, and we were
awesome.
good.
And then Matt Hughes came around and ruined it all.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I also heard another really interesting nugget about you, Nino, that I had to bring up live. I'm sorry to bombard you like this, but Piata street food is your... we talked about Troy Beck, and all respect, Troy Beck's food's amazing. Piata.
Yeah, man.
I think you can do better.
Well, part of our conversation was just saying your name.
Yeah.
Kind of connotates there's going to be a real high expectation for you're
elite
only
Italian
eating
food, right?
at home Italian.
Yeah.
And then we hear fast food Italian is your jam.
I know, yeah. I know, it's weird, yeah.
Is your family okay with this, first of all?
Don't tell many I said that. But no, it is one of those. It was it was actually bad. I had to kind of get away from it because I was eating it very often. And I was convincing myself, I'm well, it's not fast food. It's like Chipotle,
Right.
But it's Italian.
Right.
So it's but it was a place, and I was I went there so much that I'm surprised at. I'm spitting.
You're good, dude.
He's drooling just thinking of it.
I was thinking it as Alfredo.
He can't even control his bodily functions anymore.
I'm gonna go feral. But I ate there so much that I was surprised that they didn't And this was when NIL stuff was going on. I'm surprised they didn't reach out hey, you're pretty much paying for half our business.
Right. I was thinking that they would call you and be like if you don't start showing up again, we're closing down.
It got to a point where they were I was the usual, and I'm yeah, man. They told me that was peak moment in my life. I like winning nationals too, but when I got picked to be they're hey, You want the usual? I'm like,
yeah. Well, what's the usual? You gotta.
Yeah,
what's the usual there?
So I get this. What's it called? The piata, like the wrap. What was it called? Avocado piata, which is like, it's like almost like vegetarian, but you add meatballs to it.
Ooh.
You know, and they throw like a little spinach on there. They got this Alfredo sauce, this corn.
No, that's the one they renamed it.
Did they?
It's now called the National Champ.
Nice.
Piata, if you listen.
Nice.
You gotta start paying some sponsorship to do that, huh?
Yeah. And at the time, you know, I was also an 184 pounder. And then I went up to 97. So you know, a lot of the time I was just trying to put calories in, you know, but
it tracks. It tracks.
It wasn't intentional that you went to 197. It was they put that restaurant in.
Yeah. I know. I like to eat, and it was hard to say no. So
there's one right here, right? South Hills.
Yeah, that's probably what he's talking about.
That the one you always went to?
I went to the one on campus mostly.
Oh, I didn't know there was one on campus.
Because if I enter the vicinity of Bethel, it's like a sin not to eat at my parents' house. So
there we go.
That's why I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's Mama B. She hooks me up with some good food. So
did you ever try to have her recreate that piata wrap?
Nah,
that would probably piss her off.
Yeah, no. If anything,
you want me to recreate fast
exactly
food?
why.
No, if anything, they should be recreating what she makes. She like
there we go.
But
you've regained your points there.
Yeah,
well done.
There you go, Mama.
Back in the family.
So the last nugget I had on you that I thought was fun, as you can see, my hair's got a little out of control.
Oh yeah,
I heard you let it roll.
Coming. Yeah, man, it was
COVID?
It was so it was throughout like my career. I would go like yearly, like maybe like a haircut a year. Like I'd let it get.
This is just
really long.
college.
This is college, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, high school, I would like kind of let it. Like I wasn't aware of it in high school. Like I was like, this is how my hair looks.
Just happening. Yeah.
But then I noticed like everyone's like, it's not normal to have like super like not even like mine was like it would like be poofy. It wouldn't look good. Right. You know, but at the time
You're
I didn't
saying
know.
his looks good.
You're a nice guy.
Mind it.
You're a nice guy.
No, some people can rock long hair. Like he could rock it. Like I couldn't really rock it.
Nino gets it.
But
then you employ him.
But it was you know, it was one of those things where it was one of those things where it was like it turned into like a playoff like beard.
Yeah.
Like I was like, because I turned in. I'm like, you know, nothing really like there's all this OCD superstitious stuff. It's like doesn't really matter anyway because it's like you do all that stuff and like you still lose unless you're like on a feed. It's like, so what's it matter if I'm really doing that? But low key, get in your head a little bit about it. And I was having success the one year. This is actually kind of funny, but I had success my 2021 year. All my years, I was fortunate that I had good seasons, but I made the finals that year with long hair. The next year, I got it cut, and it was shorter than I thought. And I obviously didn't do that well. There's other factors why, but I always
blame
the
hair.
Yeah, I'm like, hey man, it's that short hair. And then this year, I was getting long, but I didn't lose yet, and I was like, well, I gotta let it ride now. So
that's beautiful.
So man, it was long
I respect that.
Yeah. So it's funny it doesn't really look like me because they got the big hat on my head, but
that helmet, the warrior helmet. I like that.
Exactly. So.
I hear like hockey players are the worst with superstitions. Have you ever heard of like Sidney Crosby's superstition?
No.
Oh, dude. I don't even know all of them, but the amount of things he'll do, like I'm just making this up, probably not a real one, but like tapping his stick a certain number of times before the game, like literally down to that kind of stuff. It's like nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have some like minor things like I would do, but my team probably won't believe me, but especially my friend Mickey Philby because he's close. He was like one of the closest to me, so he knows. He has some in his own right, but I kind of try to veer away from him because sometimes it's like overwhelming. You're like, well, I did this, then or now I have to do that every time. You're like, it's just like it's like overwhelming. You're like, I gotta chill out. But
it's really interesting, and I talked to one of my friends. I love to golf. I golf with my friends all the time, and he asked a pro golfer one time. He was like, I wear sunglasses when I golf, and sometimes I feel like it messes up my depth perception or something. Like, is it bad to golf with sunglasses? And the pro golfer was like, well, are you thinking about it while you're golfing? And he's like, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because it's like the sunglasses may not even actually be a problem, but if you think they are, that's all you need.
Right.
So that kind of brought me like to the superstition, like whether or not it actually matters. If you think it does, then it actually does.
Right. I mean, and I do think There's routines. I think there's a difference between like routines and superstitions. But I do think, and this is kind of off topic but similar, but I think people who have success in whatever they're doing, regardless of like what it is, are a little goofy. You know, I think like, especially like in combat, you know, because it's like not a normal person wants to do like what we do every day.
Yeah.
So I think you almost have to, if you want to get to that high level that like very little people can do, you have to be a little off, you know? So sometimes I'm like defending about like the superstition thing, but like, you know, sometimes I was a little weird about some things, and I still am weird about how I went about things, but you know,
the results,
that's what it takes. Yeah.
Well,
It's hard to argue.
I think I agree with you, but I think you're probably mistaking being a little off with being like obsessive.
Yeah.
I think when you get to like elite levels of things, you don't get there without like obsessing over it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the way, like Conor McGregor, like he was elite, he was really, really good. And then when he lost that edge, that hunger, when he had the money and he had he wasn't the same guy.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, I think there is an obsession. I think where people really thrive is when they don't let it like consume them. You know, I think like there was a quote John Jones said, I thought that was so like profound, but he was talking about like how when you're at this elite level, there's like a fire and you know, but he's like, but a lot of people kind of let that consume them. And I think that's, you know, you contribute that, but if you can like harness that upset and like use it for, don't let it overtake you. And you can kind of like use that, you know, it's not kind of similar. I don't know.
You said earlier, like, I'm more than like I'm not defined by being a wrestler. And I try to like, I'm good friends with Edwin Vera. He fights for us. He trains at the Mad Factory. And Edwin is like, he puts the most pressure on himself, and like he thinks he is a win or a loss. And I try to tell him, bro, like, you're like, your value is not in a win or loss. That's not who you are. That's just what you do.
Right.
Your value is in who you are as a person, and that's not going to change when you get in that cage and when you walk out. Like that, none of that stuff changes. The people that love you still love you, and like none of that stuff matters. So like who you are isn't a win or loss. Like that's the value you have, and that's what I think.
You're right. I think what people struggle with, especially guys who do work as hard as, you know, like they do put everything into it and they do obsess. It's almost like you're putting so much into something that you might not get. And I think that's two ways. One, you know, that's why it's a win or a loss, because like this is everything I have. Like it is defined on a win or a loss, when in reality it's really not. And it's like some guys don't commit everything they have because they're afraid if they do and they don't get it, they're afraid of that hurt.
Sure.
Right. So it's a fine line. It's definitely, it takes some soul searching to honestly be able to like think that, but let alone actually go about and doing it and practicing what you preach.
Right.
But yeah, I honestly, I love that type of stuff. I love the mental side of like,
that's
wrestling fight. I think that stuff's so interesting. I could talk about that stuff forever.
Dude, in this world, especially like you said, wrestling and fighting, there's so many layers to that are so fun. And you mentioned John Jones a second ago. He had another recently, like when he was coming back for the heavyweight title, he had an interview and he said, I'm sure you remember, whenever he was ruling the 205-pound division, he would like go on benders before fights and like half not take it seriously.
He's a freak.
Yeah, and he talked about that. He said he did that on purpose for exactly what you just said, that if somebody ever beat him, he would be able to look back and say, well, I wasn't really trying as hard as I could. Like he was literally building walls in case he failed. That's how intense it was. Crazy, dude.
I know. I think that's so interesting.
It is. It
and
truly
to like
is.
people like you, maybe not us who like kind of understand, but when people see that, they're probably like, they don't get really why he's doing that. They might be like, oh, he's crazy, but it's like there's a reason. Like you said, it's so,
he's like
so cool.
Hijacking, like he's like hurting himself so that if he is not successful, he can say, well, that wasn't my best.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it won't hurt as much because it's like that wasn't everything I had. So it's like, man, what's the matter?
I could have beat him if I tried.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So
dude, that makes you love him even
more.
more.
Dude, it truly does. We talk about this all the time. Like, I love athletes like that. Like, Randy Moss is one of my favorite NFL players ever. And
I hate Randy Moss.
Kind of didn't care. Like
Randy Moss is like wasted talent. Like, could have been like from a talent perspective only, like the best ever.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
He's not known as the best ever because he wasn't like dedicated to it.
Yeah.
He loves the freak guy that like is immature and like doesn't try as hard. Like, I love Jerry Rice because Jerry Rice wasn't the like most physically gifted person, but he cared more than every other receiver that's ever existed, and that's why he was so successful.
It's hard, especially, at least for wrestling. I'm sure you guys get this too, but it's like sometimes people see, or kids, whoever, they'll see guys have success, and they know, whether through seeing it or hearing, like that person maybe doesn't do all the right things, or maybe doesn't commit themselves to everything, but they're just freak athletes and they're gifted. So they're like, oh, see, he did it. I could do it this route. When we're at 99% of the time, you're not going to be able to do that.
Well, and when you are, you're going to hit the point where you can't anymore.
Yeah,
sure.
Like,
there's
like
always
John Jones is the exception to that rule. But usually, like the youth kids, like everyone that is around youth wrestling knows that like most of the best youth wrestling kids are done by the time they're in high school. Like they don't even wrestle anymore because they're burnt out. Their dads pushed them so hard to be good at youth, and they're done.
Right.
And that's why, like, your average youth wrestler can go to, like, can stick with it. And then in high school, like, he can be good.
Right.
Like, it's year in and year out. I see that. Like, if you stick with it, like, you'll be just fine.
That's why I try to preach to these kids, like, when I go and, like, speak to, like, you know, these men and stuff. I'm like, let me be an example of, like, winning and losing. It's not, like, your life, you know, and you got to value, like, having fun with the sport. And I tell them, like, have fun, like the fact that you're just with your friends, you're just training, you're doing something, you know, you're like, I don't know. It's especially hard for kids because like sometimes there's parents who do push it too hard, and the kid doesn't know any better. He can't make up his mind of like what he wants to do. But I do try to preach that in them early, that like, hey, winning or lose, like that your age, it don't matter, you know. Man? So, and it still doesn't, but it's just it'll keep you in it longer. And I think what you'll look back on, I guess, is like what we were saying before, is you'll be most proud of, regardless of if you achieve your goals or not, you'll be proud of putting all your effort in. You know, like in 30 years, you maybe, if I never won the national championship, I could look back and be happy. I'm like, hey, I gave it everything I had. You know, I did all the right stuff, and I know inside that I'm at peace with that. So that's what I want people to feel and know. And some of these athletes, like you were saying, like, be at peace with the fact that you are giving it your all. Yeah. Not if you win or lose or not. But
I'm super impressed, man. You being as young as you are, having that perspective, that's like a very mature perspective for sure. Do you feel like wrestling in particular gets that out of you? Because even the best wrestler on earth has lost. You guys wrestle your whole lives. Like, you're going to lose throughout the journey. Do you feel like that sport in particular kind of pulls that out of guys?
Yeah, I think especially because it's so individual based. I think team sports little harder because you can maybe perform bad and still win. So it's just like a weird like dynamic.
Or the reverse.
The reverse. Yeah,
like you're a star quarterback, you throw for 400 yards, but your defense lets up 40, and you don't feel like you let the team down.
Right. So it's not the team sports, because I'm sure you can find that awakening, you know. But I just think the individuality of like a sport, when it's just you, I think you find yourself more, you know, when you're training, because there is no one you're relying on. Like you don't have a teammate to your side to push you through. It's like you got to figure it kind of out in your head.
You're on an island.
Yeah. So I think you're able to find some stuff about yourself that you might not be, I don't know, that you're just not ready for. So
that's huge, man. I like I said, we've been following you for a while, man. It's crazy impressive what you've done, and will continue to do, I'm sure, with that perspective leading the way, dude. You got an awesome career ahead of you. Whatever you choose to do, I'm sure. And like Ryan said, if you do want to grapple, grapple here.
Got connections.
247. I know people.
But dude, for now, you got an autograph signing we want to get you off to. We're not going to keep you make you late for your public appearance or anything. But dude,
not all of us have public appearances.
I mean, some of us are just so fancy over here.
But there's 3 of us in here who aren't national champions.
Shoot a double leg on Bo for us or something. Like, let him know. Let him know what's up.
Let them know who's around.
Exactly.
Tell like, you got to go into this autograph sign. I'd be like, I just had the best time ever. I got to do this podcast. Dude, if you ever get a chance, you should go do a podcast with these guys. They're amazing.
You're not going to believe where I just was.
602, baby.
I'll tell them, man.
That's beautiful. Let them know, Nino.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming out. This has been incredible. We'll be following along in whatever you choose to do, man. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.
Yep.
The audience, like...